because they're going to serve their purpose. They've opened the borders, have let them cross for years, and done nothing about it. Acted like they were going to do something about it, like they've always acted like they're doing something about the drug war. But what they say and what they do is two different things. They talk about a drug war being against drugs, but meanwhile, the drug war is really a drug war on America, so they can bring their own drugs into America. The government's been behind it for years. And they talk about rounding up illegal immigrants, but what they're going to do is round up Christians and patriots, who, in a new world order run by Satan, are all of a sudden going to find themselves as illegal immigrants in their own country. Because anybody that doesn't go along with this new world order is going to be rounded up. And they already have a list, folks. They already have a list. If you've been a church tither, if you've been a church member, those churches turn all of their membership rolls into the state. They have to as part of being 501c3 church. They turn all of that into the state. And so they have your name, they have your address, your social security numbers, whatever it is. They know who you are. They've been surfing the net for years. People think they can hide behind screen names. That's not so. They can find out who you are. They own the servers, folks. I've been screaming that one for years. The CIA owns the servers. They can find you, put you on a list. And they have probably millions on their roundup list. And so, the way I see it happening is this whole controlled demolition thing that's going on now is that, eventually they can't hide anymore. There's no gold, there's no money. The few people that are smart now will get to the banks and get their money out. And they'll just start rounding people up instead of announcing having all of the banks close. That would be one route that would cause the civil unrest, is to have all the banks just shut overnight. And, of course, that would cause massive civil chaos. So if they want to go that route, they want to create massive civil chaos, do it that way. Otherwise, there's route number 2, where they don't announce the banks are closing. They don't announce we're out of money. We have no money. They just start their roundup program. Before anybody suspects it, before anybody sees it coming, they begin the roundup program. They shut the internet off. I've seen them doing that. I don't think it's just my sites anymore that they're going to shut off. Of course, that's always a possibility. That's always there. They could take down the entire internet so that people can't warn each other what's coming, what's happening. They could take down the internet. And Maitreya's behind that. He wants them to do that. But that's how they could keep people from learning what's going on, because they're going city by city, town by town, neighborhoods, rounding up Christians and patriots and loudmouths and heading them off to internment camps. And they could have millions taken, imprisoned, and killed before the rest of the world even knows what's going on. Because the media has a blackout, the media hides it, the media doesn't talk about it. Nobody on the internet's talking because there's no internet. And so nobody even knows what's going on. And they could last like that for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks even. And just in the meantime, busily just killing millions and millions and millions of Americans. And I've always, have warned, do not get on these relocation, don't go to the buses, the trains. If there's a terror attack in a city, and they're gonna relocate you like they did the dry run for Katrina, don't do it. There's thousands of adults from New Orleans still missing, and you never hear about it. There's always been this media blackout on it. They separated the kids from the parents, and there's still thousands and thousands of parents missing, and they're just not lost, folks. They're dead. They're gone. I think Katrina was a dry run for what's coming. And so that could go about with little or no real big fuss worldwide. You could have 100 million Americans dead before anybody even realizes what's going on over here. But it's going to be, I think they're going to go by, you've got your 2 routes. You can do it messy, or you can do it quiet and silently. So either way, whichever route they go, eventually they're just going to have to close the banks anyway. And, of course, there would be civil unrest here from the banks being closed. But by then they've gotten rid of all the big mouths, the people they're worried about, the Christians and the patriots and the big mouths. What especially the Lord wanted me to say about it is that this whole coming martial law thing is indeed the Antichrist war on the saints. Christians always have a prophetic picture in their mind about what the last days are going to be like. And so they picture this is going to happen, and then this is going to happen, and then that's going to happen. You know, events are going to happen in ways you don't expect them to. That's one thing the Lord's always told me. They're going to happen because we form assumptions and illusions in our own minds based on our beliefs. And not necessarily based on the times and what the truth really is. And we build our own beliefs and our views on the things we've learned through churches and religion, and things aren't always going to happen that way. I know most of the churches are waiting for a pre-trib rapture to come, and they're waiting for this temple in Jerusalem to be built, and they're waiting for all these markers to happen, and so they sit secured in their homes, and they're asleep. And that's exactly what the Bible code says. It says America is asleep. They're sleeping. They're under destruction and under siege, and they don't even know it. They don't even know it. But I wanted to, the first part of Revelation chapter 13, in verse 7, talks about, we'll just start with verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horn 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. In the Bible codes, a leopard is a terrorist. And his feet were as the feet of a bear, which is communism, socialism. And his mouth is the mouth of a great lion. Lion always being referred to as Judah, or the Lord. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given over him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. And this is what I've kind of been led to, because it's exactly the same kind of timetable I've been seeing. I've been talking about there would be a rapture, the first group of 144,000. The Bible Code refers to it as a fraction, because it really is. It's just a fraction of the bride. There's probably millions in the bride, and there's a small group, a fraction of that number of millions, and they're gonna be taken off the earth. And it's these that Maitreya is really the one he's after, the first beast. Because through this Orgone we've done so much destruction, we've caused so much destruction and death of his kingdom on earth, and even coming through the aerospace. We're destroying them in aerospace, not us, but the Lord. He's actually the one kicking up the strength of this Orgone that we've put out everywhere. So he's going to be furious that when he comes after this particular group, these Orgone warriors, that they're gone. And so what he does is he turns around and goes after the entire bride. And he is the one that is going to start this whole war on the saints. And how he's going to hide that is through martial law in America. And you're thinking, well, how can this Maitreya, who's over in the Middle East, going to control anything here in America? Well, we're already aligned with them, folks. America has already made an alliance with this beast. And we've known for a long time that America is being run by Satanists, that America is aligned with Satan years ago. So it's really not a shock. I think it's just the way it's going to happen is so different to the way people expect things to happen. Because you expect some charming Antichrist to rise, someone you don't know, someone maybe tall, dark, and handsome, and the women are going to be all